Where did you say that was, Angel?
Okay, so jail.local is my custom rules, and then persistent.bands is the actual IPs that get banned.
Okay.
And I have it where they even attempt, like, they can't get in as root through configuration, but if they even attempt it, they get banned.
Is that in Etsy?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a good one. I like this one to drop anybody who is root.
And this is jail.
So it's jail.local.
Originally, it's not in there. I think you have to like create that file.
Yeah, you have to make it yourself, right?
I need it.
And then probably in
Jail.local, right?
Jail.conf, I think, is a template. I guess it has like other things in it.
fail.conf.
Yeah.
That's in like jail. No.
It's right next to the.
Oh, jail.
Yeah.
And I'm making this in my Etsy.
Does this load that
Oh,
other
no,
one?
never mind.
Yeah, I was gonna say this.
Oh wait, there is templates. See, like drop bear, SSHD.
Oh, drop bear.
So now that I made it, what is drop bear?
But this is like a built-in file, so I didn't
Okay.
really mess with it.
Well, so I don't think today I didn't really want to make the point that we have to configure it, right? But so what fail to ban does, right, is it's looking at incoming connections and seeing if things are successful or not, or on particular ports, right? And then it's adding people to a list, right? And the list is going to say, okay, here's an IP, and when they try and make a connection, basically on any port that I have, they make a connection to my server, we're just going to drop their traffic. Okay? So, and where did you say the IPs were?
Persistent.bands. It's in that same directory.
Okay. So, this will list all of the IPs that are, I just did head on it so because we don't need to see all of them. Right, so when somebody tries to log on and they're a bad person, right, then they get put on this list of bans. And so Angel, do you know how it works on the back end? You remember?
Yeah, I think I remember researching how to like go about it, and it was actually some kind of like you're basically juggling the auth log. So I created something that looked at the auth log and specifically picked out connections hitting root and the connections that are using invalid users. And then it took that and then it like how we grepped and cut the log, it took the IP and threw it into the firewall.
Okay. And then you know what firewall we use on here?
I think I used with the tutorial, I think it was IP tables.
IP tables, yeah. So IP tables is sort of the firewall that's the old firewall.
Yeah.
We'll go with that's built into most systems, right? So what a firewall does is it looks at incoming connections and then decides, do I need to keep this connection or do I need to drop it, right? And it can do other things like network address translation to figure out, okay, I see that Adam is sitting at home and he's making a connection to google.com. I need to allow that traffic back into my network, and I'm going to keep track of what the outgoing connection was, so that when I see incoming traffic, then I know that, okay, that traffic needs to go to this computer on the network, right? And if he has another computer that connects to Google, then it's making a new connection. And if we remember, we saw that in the var log. Oh, it was in auth log, right? So one of the things you'll notice in the auth log is it's showing you what port, right? So it's saying this IP address, right, is connecting on this port. So every connection is a pair of 4 things. Anybody know what the 4 things are?
It's 2 IP ports.
2 IPs and 2 ports, right? And so typically what happens is when you're making your SYN, right? You are making that SYN packet on a known port, right? So you're sending it for port 22, and then I don't remember if it's the client or the server. One of them picks a random port number. I think it's probably the server. Picks a random port number that you're going to use for that connection. And so typically that random port number should be a port that's not used for something else, right? So it's a high number. Typically, we normally think of ports 0 or 1 to 1024 as service ports, meaning that you're supposed to run services on them, but we run all kinds of CRUD on non-service ports. So 3389 is remote desktop, so 3389. What is it? 5900 is VNC. 8080 is like Tomcat. So there are things that run on those high port numbers, but again, typically, right, our services are going to be low. So port 80 is for web traffic. 443 is for web traffic. Those are the only ports half of most of my students know, if they know any ports.
22 good.
22 would be the other one, right? Because they have to use 22 or 2222,
A lot.
right, to get into the server. So what IP tables is going to do is it can look at things like what is an IP address that is making the connection, or what is the source port that is making a connection on the server. And so when we look at it, so I hate that thing. It would probably be better if it shot me, but right. So the IP tables, basically we have different chains, right? So a packet comes in and it comes in on one chain, and then you can have it basically move to different chains within the system. And so typically your input chain is going to be where all packets are coming in. Now, so this command is saying in IP tables, I want to add to the input chain that if the source IP address is this, then the action, I don't remember what J stands for, but the action that you're going to do is you're going to drop the packet. We have 2 actions, drop or accept. There's probably a third one, like forward or something. I don't remember. So this right here would say that anytime I'm making a connection from the IP address 10.10.10.10, which is a private network, right, I want to drop that traffic.
So, okay, so again, the A is the A chain, right?
A is to add
Add.
to the chain.
And then input is the chain.
Input is the chain that you're going to add to. I think A is probably a pen. This is what fail to ban will do, right? So on the back end, this is how it's, and I think you can use the other firewall, which is UFW. What does that stand for? Something firewall? Uncomplicated firewall. I don't know how to use it, but it's not complicated.
All coming in from 10.
Yeah, and this is a very specific source, right? So here we have just an actual IP address, and you can see down here we could actually use a network mask in order to block a whole set of them.
So how does fail to ban distinguish between these IP addresses? So let's say 10.10.10 comes in, right? And you have it so that, what if you have it set so that twice it happens and then you block it? So if 10.10.10 comes in, will it just automatically check that as one time, or does it go by consecutive attempts?
So I think it keeps track of how many consecutive attempts within a window, right? So basically it's keeping a table that says, okay, 10.10.10 tried to access this on it, and then when it sees another one, right, it looks, and then periodically, right, that sort of table gets flushed to say, okay, you know, we're outside of the envelope, right? So as an attacker, right, if you know that it's, you know, after 5 attempts I get locked out, and they're probably running fail to ban, right, you would want to sort of, if you want to keep your IP address, you want to slow down how you're doing that attack so you can evade that firewall rule that's going to try and block you.
So A needs a pen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's adding it on to the end.
Adding to. J.
I don't remember the J means.
Jump. Specifies the target of the rule. What
Jump,
to do,
yeah.
What to do with packet matches.
And-
you can spell drop with a J.
Drop with a J.
Yeah.
Drop.
Drop. It's like Jim.
Nobody says-
Geronimo.
Nobody says drop.
Drop or sword. Drop it. Drop it like it's hot.
Yeah, so A is for append. You can delete, right? And what the reason why they call them chains, right, is you basically start, or it's really a list, right? So it's like a linked list. So you start at the top and you say, does this rule match, right? If that doesn't match, you go to the next one, right? If that doesn't match, you go to the next one, right? Until you find one that causes it to jump, right? And then you're done with that packet.
So dash A just adds to its rule.
Yep.
So how scalable is this? So imagine like something like Google or something, they're getting a massive influx of IPs coming in at all times. Would this handle that?
Would this handle that? Like I don't know what. So what? One of the things you have to think about is, so what attack are you looking at? Right? Are you saying, you know, are they trying to handle like DDoS attacks or just handle traffic?
DDoS.
Because, well, so if you're trying to DDoS Google, right, the problem that you would have is they have so many servers that you could DDoS a server, but that's not going to take Google down, right? Because Google has a lot, they do, you know, lots of them do load balancing, right? Where you have,
Yeah.
right, when I hit Google, it's a different server today than it is tomorrow or my next connection. And so if you have somebody that big, right, it's really impossible to be able to take them fully down. Like you might take a server down, but you can't take the whole thing.
I guess my question is this perfect?
Is this perfect? I mean, it's a firewall, right? And so firewalls are just going to sort of do basic stuff. Because really, right, how many, like, is Google going to have Telnet open?
Yes.
The answer is no. Right? So, you know, you can use it to filter that type of traffic, right?
Yeah.
Generally, right, a firewall, its job is to just sort of limit how much stuff goes through, right? Like a firewall in a car, right, stops most of the fire, but it doesn't stop all of it.
Ah, that's a good way to put it.
So we can also, right? We can also, as you look down here, right, we can look at a particular port, right, and see, okay, we can look at protocol, right, so we got TCP or UDP, right, so TCP is connection oriented, UDP is not. We can say destination port, right, so they're trying to connect to SSH. So if they're trying to connect to SSH, I should not step on that, right, then we might want to drop their connection. So you need to understand this is kind of how it does it on the back end, right? So if you were to get into a system and they have maybe dropped a bunch of your IP addresses that you want to use, right, you could remove them from the chain.
How do
right?
I just spit out this a chain? Like I want to see the input chain. Like how do I?
Here, I can show you. Oh, do I not have it?
IP table. I was trying to use -T, but that's not working.
Here.
Table. I just want to see it. That's all I want to do.
it's that one. IP tables minus L.
Ah, here we go. I got input forward,
Woo!
so I can list those. Oh, you got a lot.
Well, this is running fail to ban, right?
Yeah.
So let me clear.
Well, I got failed to ban running, but I haven't had people.
Well, you don't have.
Yeah.
There's a difference between like,
Everybody check Adam.
you know, your sandbox it's just not big enough. I think so.
Wow.
Can we check Adam?
Do it.
No.
My port 22 is wide open. Come on. Hail Hydra.
Yeah, I like it.
Holy cow.
So now how do I view out the chain? So I can do IPA tables dash L to see there. Maybe it's
Like an accrued shell from your computer.
See this?
Maybe.
Do I not have IP addresses in here, Angel? Isn't there?
Now WD sir you
I think it goes straight from the.
Oh, is it using?
I think it's using like the fail to ban thing as
oh
a
dash S.
But these are all the same. TCP mux. That's weird. Hmm.
I want to see the
Yeah.
rules.
No.
Oh. Well,
Let's see.
it should be minus L.
Oh, I can select the chain after dash L. I see. Dash L
Looks like I lost my old root user. Oh, maybe not. No.
this happened.
Yeah, because on the old server, Angel, I had a script to dump all of the IP addresses. I don't know where that went. Unless it's in my normal user.
It's all I should do it. I wonder if
Nope.
I don't have anything.
Well, I used to have one, so when people would get banned, I would like dump all the tables, and then I'd remove the IP address that of somebody.
What's it?
Maybe it's IP table C.
What's an IP address I get blocked that wouldn't be a bother? 10.10.
Yeah, you could pick the 10 range.
I just want to see it listed.
I think it's saved.
Oh,
So dash A is block.
that's the add.
Oh,
We're gonna add. To,
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna add to input source.
That's quite a bit.
10. Tell it to jump to launch. Alright, so now
See, that's not. What is it doing?
Yes, okay. So to list out your rules. You just do
Oh.
tables dash capital L and I can delete. I can figure out
How to delete.
dash D. I added a rule, now I want to delete the rule. Is it just source 10.10? No. Oh, dash D. Dash S.
So this must be a file that has the addresses in it. Is that right, Angel?
There we go. Now I should. Yep, that did it.
The ones that I throw into is the
I'm gonna
as
block.
far as like the script goes, the persistent that's where it bases off of IP tables.
Okay.
It's in the it's in Etsy.
Okay, so input
Yeah, I see it in there.
Dash as one, they're ready to fail. Read it to me again.
Wolf Bay.
So it must be an intermediate then.
144 dot
216.
216 dot
127.
dot 167. Yeah, alright. And we're gonna truncate and drop. Alright, so now go.
What about install? Yeah, we have to get. What about working?
Oh, it's not installed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I did it deep, okay. Alright, so now I should be able to.
Pretty hefty.
Pretty hefty,
Okay.
big boy.
You're banned from.
You're banned.
You're
I
banned.
just
Yeah,
banned
try to-
you.
try to hide your-
Like he could even try, if you try SSH or Nmap,
Yeah,
either one of those, right? So you would see that it's closed, even though it's only closed to you.
How do you SSH into somebody else's computer? Can you do that?
So will it just not be able to reach me and it'll just not work?
So if he does Nmap on that port, is he doing one port or all of them?
It's doing all of this.
So hit Control C, just do one port, just say like -P22.
Filtered.
Yep.
So that means he knows blocked.
Yep.
So if we ever are attacking somebody and we see filtered, when previously we saw open, it means they're aware that we're coming at
They
them,
might be,
or the
right?
failed ban is aware of it, and we have been banned on that IP. And
Yep.
And then it would be good for us to make.
So
change
I
that.
think, and the difference is, so it might say, there's two possibilities. It'll say filtered or it'll say closed, right? So, well, this is, okay, this will be a good exercise. So you guys were right, trying to make that connection. So one of the things that we can do is we can capture the packets that get sent back and forth, right?
Okay.
So there's a couple different ways that you can capture packets. One is to install Wireshark. We won't do that one yet, right? You guys will have Wireshark installed, but the other way is to use TCP dump, right? So TCP dump will allow us to capture the packets between you and a whole bunch of, depending on the host, right? And
So if I run TCP dump while he is hitting me, I should be able to see that.
so he can run TCP dump and see what's happening, right, when
So
that
he-
connection is
So
made.
he runs Nmap, or he runs TCP dump and then he runs Nmap, right?
He starts TCP dump, right? And we do minus, you remember, Adam? What's
I
the
remember
save?
doing it. Do we have it installed? I didn't.
Yeah.
We should.
Is it W? R? No,
Yeah,
I think
R
it's
is
W.
File.
W is to write to a file.
Yeah. Little W.
Yep. So TCP dump, and you can say, so I want to write a, what we call PCAP, so attack Adam.
Yay.
Okay. Hey Adam, so what is your IP address?
Alright, it is 144.216.127.159. And I'm 159.
Dot 127
7.
159?
I'm 159, yep.
Apparently I've tried that one before. And
Hey.
okay, so when I hit Adam, right, I see that it's up. Right, so what we're going to do in TCP dump is we're just going to capture the packets that are going to go to Adam, right? We could capture all packets.
Now,
But-
can I watch these packets coming in?
Yeah,
I can, okay.
you should be able to do TCP dump as well.
So I'm gonna, am I just gonna do a PCAP? Okay. We're
Yep.
gonna watch attack. How about that?
Let me go to the TCP dump.
I'm gonna start running. Do you want me to run it now or just wait until you guys start hitting me? Maybe I should wait.
So you'll want to listen. Where's that? So we're just going to try and capture packets going to him. And so we'll put in his host name. So in here we're gonna say host, and then we'll put Adam's IP address.
Or 144.126. I'm one.
Yep. And then the -w says, I'd like to write this to a PCAP file. So that's what we will do. And let me run this locally on my computer so that we can look at it.
So what are we doing here?
You're gonna attack.
We're going to attack Adam, and we're going to look at the packets that get sent.
So what was that? What's that SSH to?
What?
You got
You have like
TCP
an
yeah.
SSH address there. What is that?
Here?
144.
So I was just trying to see, so when I ran an Nmap on Adam's computer, I can see that port 22 is open, right? So I'm going to do a TCP dump and capture the packets that I send to Adam. And then, sorry, what's your name? I forgot. Cornelius? Okay. Cornelius is banned, right? And we're going to compare Cornelius's dump to our dump and see if they are indeed different, which
I
they
can
probably
watch
should
the
be.
attack on the other side.
And Adam's just going to watch them.
Are you in mapping me or are you?
I will try and SSH to you.
I'm gonna just go ahead and start mine then.
Okay.
I'm going.
So does the packet capture make sense to everybody?
Kind of.
Kind of. Oh.
Once we look at the results.
What's Adam doing on his side?
I'm just waiting. I got fail the ban up. I've got him banned. I don't know about you guys, and I don't know about him. So we're gonna see what happens.
Okay. So if I run something like Nmap, right?
Yeah.
I see that it's open.
Alright.
Or if I try to SSH,
All right.
and I've got to fix my key here.
So you try to get in and it said close. You try to get in and it said filter.
Yeah.
I'm stuck at 88%.
So do you want me to stop my TCP dump now or?
Nope. You're fine. It'll ask me for something, and I try, right? I'm gonna fail. Okay, which is, me trying to make a connection and it doesn't work. All right, so now we can go ahead and when we come back to our TCP dump window, we can hit Control C, and it will save the data for us, right?
Ah. Where's that saved? Oh, there it is, right there.
Probably in your current working directory.
Thanks.
And then we can actually open it with, I think you guys should have, if you just double click on that file, it should open in Wireshark.
Oh no, I need Wireshark.
You hate Wireshark?
No. I'm using
So I
the
did
Kali
open
system.
and
I'm using the subsystem still.
Open
Oh.
is not available.
I don't know.
Well, you don't have open. That's only on OS 10.
So how can I open?
You can type Wireshark space and then put watch. Try that. It likes it.
Yes. Alright. Alright, I'm up and rocking on Wireshark. Okay, so I'm gonna need to filter for what port? Port
So I'm
22?
looking here at 22.
How do I do my whole filter syntax again?
TCP.port equals 22.
So TCP.
So we can see that when so you're 159, right?
I 159.
At the beginning, right, we can see that I sent a SYN packet, right, on 65525.
So are you 133? Must be you.
I'm 133.
You're
Yep.
133. I
As you
see.
can, right, you see the source, so I'm the source, and then you're the destination for that.
So 133 tried to come in here, and I got a SYN.
So Cornelius, when you look for port 22, TCP.port equals 22.
So Cornelius is 160. I can see his. His was just totally denied. Like, I got a SYN from him twice, but I got no SYN hack or anything.
Yeah, because that's what it does on the end, right? Is that it's dropping, and I don't even think he gets.
I don't have GCP.
He doesn't usually get any computers.
So this is you.
Yeah.
What's that command there for the TCP?
And
It's a SYN, but it doesn't come back.
you get
I
you're
just
not.
drop it flat.
Yeah.
Cause you should, okay, so here's a SYN connection that actually has the cause he has a three-way handshake, so he made a three-way handshake with me, right?
Yep.
Cause you got the SYN-ACK, right? Did you get a,
Yep. So the top one, right? So if we look at this, so Wireshark, just to sort of break it down, Wireshark's going to show us the time. So when was this packet sent? The source is who is sending the packet. The destination, who is receiving the packet. Protocol is it TCP, UDP, right? It's going to do some smart stuff like SSH, right? And then we can see our source port and our destination port, and then what type of flags got set. And those are all shown down here, right? So the bottom is going to show us information about
so you sent me
TCP.
a SYN,
So Cornelius sent a SYN, right?
and he did it twice.
And he got nothing.
And he got nothing. So you got
And
the
that's
SYN,
why it
SYN.
says filtered, right?
But you
so-
can see here, we got a SYN-ACK happening with that.
Oh, okay.
So he sent me a SYN, and I sent him back a SYN-ACK, so I acknowledged that he got it.
And then I sent a ACK, right?
He sent it out. So we at least established a connection. He didn't get in, but
Yeah.
we had this connection.
So that's how, when you run Nmap, that's what it's doing, right? It's trying to make that, if it's a TCP service, right, trying to make that three-way handshake in order to figure it out. And if we were to try something on a service that wasn't running, so let me do that. Let's try, again,
Technique.
we'll attack Adam.
Let's do this. So let me start my, before you do, I'll start my TCP down.
I'll do this Adam attack 2.
I want to do watch attack 2.
So let me try and hit Adam on a different port. So let's pick 90. I'm pretty sure nothing is running on 90.
You may find out that there is.
Okay, so I see a closed, right? DS in it. DNS6.
DNSX.
Okay?
DNSX.
So I'm done. I hit Control C. I'll go ahead and open that file.
You got banned from
So I'm banned from air port.
You're banned from it.
So-
I should probably look that.
It said, right, when I ran this, right, it said closed.
Yep.
And if I look inside my TCP, right, I can see this here. It sends a message, right, SYN on port 90, given my random port, and then I get back a response saying
Nope.
reset ACK. Right, so I'm seeing that that port is actually closed. There's no service running on that.
So you hit the hand.
No, the other one was the hand. This was like, I'm sorry, the diner is closed today. Right?
The other was the hand. This one is like.
The other one was like ghosting, right?
It's nice. No,
Right?
I'm not even here.
Nothing here,
Nothing. It's just nothing.
right?
This one is actually a response. That
This
says
is a
no.
response saying, sorry, we're closed. There's no library at the diner. You know, you're asking for a library, and this is diner.
Because I've got the SYN, I've got the reset ACK, I've got the reset ACK, I've got the SYN.
Yeah, so we'll see that we get that response, right?
And we both do that. It looks like is
Well, yeah, you will see the exact same as I have, right?
yeah.
So you should see, except for
It's
the
just fact.
source and destination are going to be different on your side than on my side.
Because then I also get on my ICMP, so that must have been an ICMP situation because I get a port unreachable or destination reachable.
And it looks like it's doing additional things. Like
Yeah.
here, I can see that it tried port 80 and port 443, even though I just said port 90.
Yeah.
Don't know why. Right? But I got
Computer's
those.
Like, you must be in attack mode.
I'll just double check to see if anything's running there.
Yeah, whatever. I'll help you out.
So, right,
So
as
we
an
can try to-
attacker, when you do an Nmap, right, understanding the difference between closed and filtered.
It tried to web connect as well. Like
Well, hold on, no.
Apparently, I don't know why it did that.
that's interesting.
Unless that's like default behavior.
It just always checks for a web connection.
I guess.
HTTP or HTTPS. That's funny.
Right?
But
And
apparently those were closed, so right? Yeah. Yep. So whenever I see a reset, that means typically closed,
Yep.
in Varshark.
Yeah, well, there's that, and it's also part of the natural flow. Right at the end, you'll see you'll see resets randomly, but you also see fin packets to say we're done with our connection.
That's gracious.
Yeah. I'm finishing, and then you go away.
I'm ready.
I know, but I like
Here we
how-
go.
We don't wait that long. It's like,
You
You
never-
hang up,
dude, I'm finishing. Bye.
It's not a you hang up. No, you hang up.
It is definitely not that.
No, you hang up. No, you hang up.
It's like Windows cannot migrate something. It's like it's up there. I don't know what's up.
Did you put your firewall up?
Yeah, I've got a firewall going.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, I was hitting your SSH and trying to log in.
Oh, he's got.
So
Don't you have failed to ban
I
running?
failed to ban. I have that on there.
Oh, then
So what's your IP? Let me check.
156.
156. So I should be able to go to my failed to ban GLF. Where are my bans? Persistent ban or?
Yep. I think persistent.
You know what I'm doing?
I should.
That's
Hold on.
still. I already tried to do it.
Oh, I don't have a persistent ban. Maybe it's jail dot.
If it works for me, we'll do that.
Yeah.
No, that's not it.
Just list out your IP tables and see what's going on.
Yeah, so I got 156.
Well, that's what.
Who's 156?
That must be him. Are you 156?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I.
So there you go. You got banned.
You got straight up banned.
All right.
So there was an ICMP port rejection.
I think my computer's just trash.
So yeah, it's probably like things are doing pings.
It's ICMP.
Yeah.
Is that net? That is
Dude,
net?
it kinda is.
Right? No.
Like,
Who knows?
no cat.
Maybe.
Okay, I'm gonna